I am not interested in shooting new things. I am interested to see things new.
Don't shoot what it looks like. Shoot what it feels like.
Hey, welcome to the Street Shots Photography Podcast. This is Antonio.
And this is Ward.
And this is episode 245 for the end of December and the end of 2025. And for the country code of what? Where is it?
Guinea-Bissau?
Guinea-Bissau in West Africa. Yeah, so we're in Africa.
Still in Africa. The 24s and 240s seem to be Africa. Yeah.
In case anybody wants to know that, we're world travelers here. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I'm not. We were watching something on Netflix tonight while we were eating dinner called I can't remember the guy. Better Feed. Oh bloody hell! What's the name of the show? The guy's name is Phil, and he's eating food.
Phil Rosenthal. Yeah,
Phil Rosenthal.
He's a TV producer.
Yeah, and
Feed Phil,
Feed Phil, or something like that. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I was in Madrid, and I'm watching them eat all these great foods, and I just eaten leftover Chinese food, and I'm watching them like have tapas and suckling pig, which I don't think I'd ever eat a suckling pig because that's pretty. Yeah. But just all this like tapas and this amazing food, and I'm sitting there, I'm salivating again for watching this, for watching them make food again. And I was like, so maybe we should do a food podcast. We'll do something.
Well, we did make a point of having setting up ourselves with beer this morning.
Yes, this is the end of the year. Yeah. So if we start to get beer, if I start to get stupid by the end of the show, then you'll know why. But at least I've eaten ahead of time. And this is not non-alcoholic beer.
Mine is non-alcoholic. I have not had my dinner yet, but mine's non-alcoholic.
Mine's alcoholic. Mine's a Hefeweizen.
I love Hefeweizen.
Called the Fox. And what does the top say? Beer House something. I don't know. But it's in this very strange green can. And Angie bought it for me because she knows I like the Hefeweizen, and I've never tried this one before, and it's actually, hang on. Yeah, it's very good. I would like to put a lemon slice in it. Yeah, but
this one's good too. Would tolerate a lemon slice. It's Athletic Brewing Company from Vancouver, British Columbia on the West Coast, and they call it the Upside Down Blonde. And I wonder if upside down is a kind of oblique reference to Stranger Things, maybe. I don't know. But it's very nice. It's very bright, and it's one of the better alcohol-free brews I think I've ever had. So keep a few in the house at all times, just in case.
Do so, yeah. What's interesting here in Nebraska is they don't have I don't know if you have this where you are, but get the money back on your empty cans.
Yeah.
The deposit. You have that there?
Yeah, I've had it for 20 years, give or take.
Well, it's not here in Nebraska. I'm always looking at this. I'm like, oh, should we throw them out? Like, give them to somebody? I'm like, realize there's no return on the cans. So it's a very interesting difference from New
York State.
Yeah. Probably created a second economy of people collecting cans in New York. Just to return them and stuff. So anyway, well, how was your holiday?
It was very quiet.
Quiet is good.
My wife had some family business she had to attend to a couple of times. So she had to leave the house over the last week. But, but she's glad she's be able to do that and look after her family member in that way. So we had a good Christmas. I got a book, which I bought myself. Because no one knows what to buy me, right?
Yes, right.
Because
Nobody
I'm very
knows
specific.
To buy photographers.
I did get, I got an Aperture magazine, and I got the black and white year-end single image winners edition. I get black and white magazine at least once a year.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's completely black and white magazine is all. It's in a certain way. It's like like Brooks Jensen's lens work, it's submission. It's all about submissions. And so they
Mhm.
pay their way by you entering these contests and paying for it. And then if you're lucky or whatever, they choose you and they curate it. The magazines, they're fairly well produced. And so I don't mind looking through those
Is it like an
for
actual magazine? Like in
yeah, and it's quite thick
wow.
too. Yeah, black and white, black ampersand white. Yeah, and yeah, it's worth looking into. You see it at the newsstand if they you can find a
Okay.
newsstand anymore. I find them at our local bookstore here called Indigo, sort of like a Borders or Barnes and Noble kind of
Mhm.
store.
Mhm.
And I got that, and I got Aperture magazine, which was excellent choice. And it was this last month was called the Crafting issue, and so I want
Yeah, I got it, and
you got it,
I'm a
and
subscriber. Yeah, yeah.
okay, I haven't gone through it yet, so I usually get Apertures one off. I just see them at the newsstand and pick them up. And the book I got was from Andy Summers, who was the guitar player for the band Police, The Police,
Mhm.
and he's been a photographer pretty
I knew he was a
much.
photographer. I forget. Like, every now and then, something pops up, and it's like Andy Sam's like, "Oh, yeah, he's a photographer." Yeah.
Well, the work I'd seen of his before, like from the 80s and 90s, they were just sort of like, oh, by the way, the article would be, oh, by the way, did you know that Andy Summers is also a photographer? And they would just choose these random images, and there was nothing really cohesive. And there was
Mhm.
some interest in some of the stuff. And, you know, the ultimate behind the scenes concert, black and white footage, well, not footage, but images that he would produce were sometimes interesting. But this was basically the catalog for a show that was put on in Montpellier, I guess, in France in 2019, and I knew nothing about it. I just happened to see it there, and it's very lovely, laid out, where well curated and sequenced. And given what I'm trying to do with my Japan pictures, it really resonates with me. So I'll be as I say, it's at the top of the pile now. I'll buy my easy chair to go through when I have some moments. And yeah, it's just serving as inspiration. He's got his pictures are kind of both street and behind the scenes and portraiture and sort of intimate moments where he hired a model to be in a room somewhere and
Mm,
the light
mm.
is peculiar and it's just very, very
Uh,
intimate
an
and
exploration of the
yeah,
model kinda way? Yeah.
exploration. Yeah, it's not heavy-handed. It's not a definite theme. It's not activist photography or anything like that. He's got a very light touch and a kind of heck with you kind of attitude almost. You don't get it, I don't care. I play jazz. I play jazz chords now. If you don't like it, yeah, I like that vibe that he has, and you can kind of
Mm,
see it now that I'm older and he's older, and you can see, that feeling that he has,
mm.
there's a definitely an artistic bent, but there's also a take it or leave it thing, which I also coming to love the more I think about it and talk about it actually. So that was what I got for Christmas. What'd you get for Christmas?
What I get for Christmas? Well, I speaking of books, this is one of them. I'm trying to forget what's the other book I got. Well, anyway, this is the one that a Martin Parr book,
Mm,
From the Pope to a Flat White, Ireland, 79 to 2019. And it is a half black and white, half color.
mm.
Fantastic work. Fantastic. It's just, and I think this might be my first book of his. I don't know if I've got the Brighton book. I can't remember now if I've got that, but this work in Ireland, it's assuming it's not comprehensive, but it's a really good selection of work. The black and white stuff, though, is just phenomenal work.
That's got
And
your picture of that windshield with the chickens
the
on the
windshields with the
dashboard.
chickens. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I received this from Sanda, uh, d- uh, also known as Angie. She got me this book.
Sad to
And
Angie.
there's a whole couple of, so one or two. No, it's just one essay at the front, which I have not read yet. So I go immediately into the pictures.
Yeah.
The I look at his work, and he just, like, for the moment, makes me think about how it's possible for anybody, someone like him and other photographers like him, who can look at the world through this little teeny tiny viewfinder and put stuff in such an order without actually doing it. Like it's just observing the world, and suddenly the order comes together for the viewfinder. I don't know why that struck me so much looking at his work. I mean, there's a lot of photographers that come across. We've talked about a bunch of them, and we have books from them. But Martin Parr is he's on my plate right now,
Mhm.
and I'm like I'm jealous. I mean, I'm really happy people are like that. That are people that are there. I wish I could do that. I wish I had that. And it's a practice, or it's just it's a matter of doing it and doing it over again, and just haven't done it. And you know what? Maybe I don't have to do it because we've got people like Parr who've done it for us already. But just you just know what they're framing through. They're framing through like a little ground glass or some,
Mhm.
something that's not quite as good as looking in reality, right? And from that little piece of glass, that little window, they have to make sense of the world somehow in that frame, and they do. And so I just get amazed by that,
Mhm.
that people are able to do that. So anyway, that's what the book was sort of kind of it's just reminding me of, and I'm really happy. I mean, I'm really happy to have that and add that to my library downstairs in the basement. But and I thought I got another book, but I can't remember now. I'm kind of wait, what is this? As I'm looking here, yeah, sorry, this was this was another one from Santa. Also, Dear New York.
Oh,
It's from the
I don't
guy,
know
what's
that
his
book.
name? Brandon Stanton, creators of the
Oh,
Humans of New
yeah,
York,
Humans in New
right?
York, yeah.
So it's portraits of people with their stories. I mean, or little bits and pieces of them, and has their stories underneath.
Mr.
And
Con Edison there?
yeah, well, it's got a lot of everybody. And I was looking through it to see if I noticed if I could, if there was anybody I recognized, because sometimes you find people like, oh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I
Well,
got this. It's nice. The book is the front of it is like this is kind of like this fabricy kind of feel, and then
mhm,
the type is all embossed on it, and it's just a very nice plain cover. And it's a I the photography is this is very interesting because the photographs are just of the people. There's not a lot of embellishment in the portraits. The even like just where they're placed in the environment. There's nothing terribly special, but it's just like a picture of the person.
mhm.
And I kinda like that, it's not this big production, it's not this Avedon style kinda shot against the white or something like that, you know?
Well, you're making me think actually of our friend Mark Ryerson and his street portraits and
Yeah,
how he seems to be able to transcend just just your average, here's the person. There's something kinda magic about his compositions and his backgrounds and so on, and where he places his subjects that just
yeah.
his Stranger Project was really something else, so yeah, and I'd
So he
forgotten
would
all
probably
of
he would probably like this book, you know?
yeah, I'm sure he would, yeah.
Yeah. I
Dear
mean,
New
the
York,
nice thing about
yeah,
the photographs is there's nothing pretentious about them, it's just the people in the streets and stuff.
yeah,
The camera being used as the almost like the excuse to be able to talk to somebody,
mhm.
and find out what their story is. So, I haven't read that one yet too, there's a lot more. Although I no, actually, I did read one story, and it was pretty I just happened to randomly pick one person. I won't say the whole story because I can't remember it, but it was pretty tough. It was like, wow, that's a the person went through a lot, and it's a few pictures of him, and then the person's picking their life up again, and it was just a nice little series, and and also I think because I've been missing home a little bit, so that was probably maybe some of the motivation. She listens to the show, so she'll be able to tell me when she listens to the show, when she's listening to the show, and she's gonna do this.
Yeah.
She's gonna text me as she's listening to the show.
What happened at 9 minutes and 48
Right,
seconds,
this is this is gonna be in real time, right, as this
Yeah,
happens. But yeah, they've been having these little, waves of missing New York and stuff.
yeah.
So, and we could talk about that as we get into our year summary or whatever we want to do as an end of year show or something like that. But the other thing I got was more for myself because got to get stuff for myself. Was I bought a a DJI drone. And this is gonna sound weird because now I have 2 of them. I bought one when I buy one, when I left, I was in New York when I bought one, and I was never able to fly it. I never flew it because there's no place in New York to really fly it legally. And then now with all the stuff that's going on with DJI and foreign drones in the United States, of course, it was one of those like, well, I might as well pick one up as a Christmas present to myself. And because, like, if I can't buy them anymore, I would like to be able to have one. So I bought a DJI Mini, what is it? Mini Pro 5, which actually just came in today. And I've been wanting to do some not video with it, although it's a nice thing to have. And I'm actually going to be taking a class in the January 8th and 9th to get prep for getting a drone license,
Yeah,
a
so
drone
you get
pilot
a
license.
FAA license, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the 2 that I've got are, they're under the 250 grams.
Mhm.
They're just, I wouldn't call them professional. We all know this, what drones are. I when I was working for Shutterstock, so I was doing video reviews for their stock video. And the vast majority of clips that we got in, I would say, I mean, I'll probably be told this is wrong, but it felt like 70% of the clips we got were drone clips. And when I would fire up the interface and start my day going through the videos, and inevitably a lot of the videographers were from either Belarus or Russia or Ukraine. This is prior to the war,
Yeah.
and it was, endless flights over wheat fields or, circling a church steeple in some small town. I was like, "Oh, boy, you could just give," like, I never wanna, if I live the rest of my life, I'll never see if I
Cliche
see
is
a drone.
killing me, yeah.
Right, if I see another drone video, it'll be too soon, and I just could not see, I just ugh. But just this past weekend, we had on Saturday, that we're recording this on Monday, so 2 days ago,
Mhm,
it was 60 degrees here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and we went out to a couple of places, and I got a chance to fly the drone. Lincoln itself is kind of a restricted area because of the airport.
mhm.
Even though I do fly it up and down, I just haven't flown it any place because there's a sort of restricted border. Actually, what's really interesting, there's a restricted border in the city, and just past the border of this restricted zone is a penitentiary, Nebraska State Penitentiary. So technically, I could fly it over the penitentiary. I can't fly it over like, anyway. So anyway, so
There's a
we got the
script in
chance.
there
I
somewhere,
know
I
there
don't
is a
know.
script. You're gonna be dropping things. I heard that's a problem. People are dropping things into pens. Anyway, so we went to like an Audubon reserve, and then we went to a lake, and I flew it, and I did some video, of course, and it's fine. But the best part was actually looking down and taking photographs. Like, and I was actually letting the thing skim around, and I was taking shots with it too, like over a lake or something like that, something where I couldn't, physically be.
Mhm,
And I actually really dug that. And I realized that, I spent all the time watching the videos of other people doing the drone, and I was, you know, of course I was in a special circumstances because I was, of course, receiving thousands of them sitting there. But now that I got the chance to make it myself, I'm like, woohoo, this is really fun. And it's another way to look at the world, which I've never really seen. And so I did a bunch of photography this weekend with the drone, and the new one that I got has a higher megapixel count, so I'm hoping the picture quality would come out bad. But the ones I did weren't so bad. They look nice. So yeah, so that was what I got, and I think that's it. Maybe a bunch of other little thingamajigs, some pins and stuff, whatnot. But yeah, and we had a nice family Christmas here in the house. It was a little crowded just because it's a small house. So you put 5 people in the house and it's crowded.
mhm.
But it was a nice crowd, and we had a nice Christmas dinner, and we went to a light show at the children's zoo, which was really cool. And what else? And on Christmas Day, went and got Chinese food. So this was sort of a hat tip to our
Sounds like a
the
Christmas
the
story, yeah.
the Jewish, all the
Yeah,
Jewish family members would go, Jewish people go get, go to
yeah.
get, Elizabeth did this. We could go and have Chinese food and then go see a movie on Christmas. But we went to this Chinese restaurant in Lincoln, and it took literally 2 hours to, like, we dialed in the food, and it took 2 hours to pick it up. We're sitting there, it was crazy, but anyway. So that's kind of and it was nice. I mean, oh, so Saturday it was 60 degrees. Yesterday it went down to 9, and then we got the snow squalls, right? So
Yeah.
there's snow on the ground and stuff like that. So, this is an interesting thing. So,
Cool.
anyway, yeah, that's it. That's it. Getting ready for New Year. Got let's see. What are we gonna do? Get the photographer group, which I need to start to
Mm,
getting together, doing something for the new year. So have a photographers gathering, or if it's really lousy weather, just have it like a show and tell kind of thing.
mhm.
So that's it. Nothing too crazy. Yeah. So cool. Let's have another sip of beer.
Okay.
and mm, Opie's in here with me. He's eating his food. He just looked at me when I called his name, so he's good. So we do a year up roundup. What's on your mind? What what did 2025 do
I
for
think
you?
I
What's
think
the
2025 for me
takeaway?
was kind of a landmark year in terms of my growth as a photographer. It's really
Tell me more.
well, it started with me getting a and just a few weeks now after having talked to Jamie Price, I got a hard card credential for the racing series that I follow at Daytona, which gave me access to the pit area so I could photograph race cars being serviced in the middle of the night, which was heaven. That was fun. The pictures were great. I had a couple of keepers from that.
Just a couple?
Oh, had a
I
few.
think I think you
I
had a
had a
few
few.
more than a
I had
couple.
a few.
Hmm.
I was very fortunate to have that access because with sports, one of the things that helps you with your quality of your image is access. And usually it's press
Mhm.
people that have that. So it was nice to kind of be in that and meet my friends who I haven't seen for 7 years because I haven't been to a race down there in that long. What else? A real feeling of, I don't know, doing the rodeo work at the Hills Lake Stampede felt satisfying and fun. And I had that lens that I got from you just before the racing
Mhm.
pictures I used there, and that was fun. I didn't get that many keepers out of that, but I kind of felt a kind of shift in my what I thought was important, I guess, to photograph. And then the images that I got out of the midway at the Calgary Stampede were particularly good because I changed my tack a bit about what it is I'm going to shoot, what the priorities are, being more formal, being trying to be more formal in what I'm trying to do. And that worked out really good. And we got a really good Substack article out of that too.
Mhm.
That was really good. Before that, I forgot even the Japan trip in March, April.
Yeah, I was wondering
It
when
was
you
2 weeks to
mentioned that.
Japan. Sorry.
I remember that. Yeah.
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 And so that was that was definitely fun and different and interesting and kind of mind bending and fulfilling. So, and I'm still chewing on that now. And I've got as we get
Mhm.
to later in the year, I'll bring that up a little more. And it was going to those places where the Japanese photographers walk in Shinjuku and Shibuya and these kind of in the cedar places just outside of the main tourist areas was fun and interesting to go to be in those places and see a lot of what they saw. But when they were shooting in the 70s and 80s, it was kind of a different place than the really built up tourist areas that they are now.
Mhm.
But there's still echoes of that. As I go through my Japanese pictures, I sense this kind of change in the culture there now, which I didn't really see so much being there. I was like the wide-eyed tourist for the most part, certainly the first week that I was there. But some of the moments that I caught later as my pictures, pardon me, as my pictures evolved and a little more subconscious, I think there's something else going on there. I'll talk a little bit about that later. And then What else is going on? Yeah, and then the rodeo stuff. Got a little flash or playing with the flash late in the summer. That was fun and something I'm definitely going to chase down. And then here a couple of weeks ago, because I have part of my work, because I work in IT, that's my day job. I deal with large language models for different reasons for work and
Mhm.
whatever. And for a few months, I've been feeding it my pictures and asking it questions, and it just was really kind of superficial and silly and was not really helpful. But with this latest update of ChatGPT, the 5.2 model, suddenly it got really good at like art criticism and photography criticism in specific. And so I fed it some of my pictures, a group of my Stampede Midway pictures, a group of the first pictures I took in Japan, and a group of the pictures I took in Japan later in the trip when I sensed the difference in the work. And it came back with a really well thought out breakdown of it was like compare and contrast, make
Really?
the kid in writing class compare and contrast, what was going on. And I don't want to give too much away because I'm working on a zine that's inspired by the Japanese work, but I will say what it said about the Midway work from the Calgary Stampede was that this was a safe place to take the pictures. You are trying to present the people as who they are. You're accepted. You're part of the community there, and it is a safe place. And you're trying to elevate the people that you're shooting. And I'm like, absolutely, that's exactly what I'm doing. And with the Japanese pictures, there's a sense of in the first set, in the first images that I sent, the first group of Japanese pictures that I sent, it says that you have this, I forget what the word is, some kind of distance where you are invited, but you're not admitted. What you're
Ooh, mm.
seeing is what's in front of you, but you don't have the safety and the knowledge and understanding of the people that you're shooting like you do when you're on the Midway in Calgary. That, okay, I'm all over that. I'm like, I'm cool. And so there was this kind of, you know, distance that it's okay for me to be there, but I'm not, I'm just seeing what's in front of me. I don't necessarily have the understanding of what's going on. And then the later pictures are when, what is it? What did it say? Something like, you know where to stand and where to take the, where to, how to set the camera and all that kind of stuff. With the later pictures, you're getting moments after moments where you're seeing the
Mm.
young woman who's starting to break down, who's sad now, who had just had a brave face. You're getting the kind of awkward moment of someone just coming off a pose where they're disappointed in what it was they were doing. So if and there was some and what the chatbot said was that there's an artistic danger in what you're doing in those later pictures. So and it was fantastic because I have all these pictures. I don't know, 5,000 frames or 4,500 frames that I have from Japan. What am I going to do with all this? Like, I want to just lay out. Well, my Mexico pictures were fine to do like a blog post or something,
Yeah, yeah.
but I didn't have like a kind of a cohesive artistic impulse of what I was going to do with them. I was just hoping that they were pretty. And with these Japanese pictures, I wanted there to be the depth, like Moriyama and Suzuki and these guys. They are inspirations, and they get something visceral out of what they're photographing. And I was just really trying to chase after that in not in a like pointed. I'm going to do this and this and this and this, and then the pictures are going to work. I was just trying to see, let you say the art of seeing, right? Like
Mhm.
just take it in. There's the water
Let me
flushing now. We got water
That's
going
okay.
on. Sorry.
Let me ask you
Um,
something. What
yeah.
well, what is not the right word I would say. What prompted you to feed the pictures in and get a feedback from him? But what is it something about this? And just so you know, like, you inspired me and I did the same thing, and I'll maybe
Okay.
read what I was saying, but not a why. I'm having a hard time formulating this question. Like, you seem affected by this,
I
like
am. Yeah.
that this language model came back to, and like knowing how these language models are made. Well, actually, I don't know how they're made, but it seemed poignant to you. Like somehow this was
Yeah.
a reflection back to you. And almost in some sense, you're sort of talking to yourself because you're feeding in photographs,
Right.
and it's reflecting back what it sees in the photographs are from you. But it seems
So,
to affect you somewhat, and
oh,
I'm
deeply.
curious about that.
Absolutely. Because I knew that I had something when I was there. And I was actually just kind of getting to that very point
Oh,
was like, if we're going out on the street, you and I, let's say, well, what are we going to photograph? And then there's this kind of back and forth of, well, we're just going to take a picture of whatever, and it's going to be buildings or people or whatever. And I need a limitation. Like, just tell me, turn this into an assignment. Then
hmm,
I can do the hunting or the fishing for that particular thing. And with Japan, it was like people, people, people. Like, tried to leverage as much of the Midway work as I could. And I think the Midway pictures were served very well after the Japanese experience, because it was like 3 or 4 months after Japan that I was, it was from going from April to July. There
hmm,
was that all that pondering I did. And so I had a different mindset going into Calgary. So fine. But what I got, like, and it's sort of like having a conversation with you or somebody else, is like, look at my pictures and what do you see different in this? And I just needed a nugget of, if the whole point of this is to create a zine or a book or a set of zines, what is it that divides them up thematically or
hmm,
artistically that I could use as giving me enough meat to actually start a project? So I'm like, oh, okay. So I've got the Stampede pictures are a certain thing. They're not dangerous, although artistically, but I've been going there for so many years, and I don't want to pry those people open. I just want to show them for who they are.
hmm,
And the early Japanese pictures were the tourist, but hopefully one that's a kind of with an artistic bent who sees a little more than a tourist might see. And then
hmm,
the later one of seeing the kind of breakdown of the people that I'm photographing, and the awkward moments and the release, what is it, the giving up of the perfection, or the pure aesthetic. There's a more of a rawness, which just made me feel great, because like
right,
that's where Moriyama lived, right?
right. But did the
um
language model sort of like did it? Did it? I'm losing my words.
that's fine.
Sorry.
Well, just while
No.
you're thinking of that, what it did do was it just gave me signposts, like, okay,
Oh.
I was thinking, do I have enough pictures to do something with these things? And just by doing that grouping, that was enough for the language model to latch on to something that I could, in return, latch on to start a project. And as soon as I saw that bucket, and I call them buckets now, of the
Hmm,
grouping of pictures, the style of pictures, the early Japan pictures, the first week, that represented the letting go of the tourist and the tourist point of view. In fact, I'm calling it gaijin is the first one, which means foreigner. So it's like the foreigner looking at these people, and then there'll be a
hmm,
different name for the next one. But it was just like, I have enough pictures, thank God, to do like a 40-page zine. And so I started the layout the other night while my wife was visiting, or had to go back to visit family. I just started tossing in pictures into the layout. I'm using Affinity. It's free now. So
hmm,
I don't have InDesign or anything, and I didn't want to pay for InDesign. So layout layout tools are layout tools. So I'm just throwing this stuff together. The layout is simple. It's everything's going to be full bleed in this
hmm,
zine. So I'm going to take after Moriyama as much as I can. Am I plagiarizing? I'm not plagiarizing, but am I letting that full influence happen? Yes, because that's a question that I've asked that is answered. Yes, I want to make it look like a Japanese photo book because it's
hmm,
Japan, and I want to try and do what I can in that ilk. And so the layout of the book is just going to be the way it is.
hmm,
And
hmm.
I did my best to sequence it, and this was just in an hour and a half where it's sort of like, okay, this doesn't these pictures that I really like don't work together, just like and like anything else, like when we're sequencing, you sequence your zines, right? It's just these pictures I love, but it's not gonna work, so and I've gone back to the Lightroom catalog, and I found other pictures that fit, and like, "God, this is great." So I think by the end of this week, if I don't have, work issues or whatever, I will probably have a maquette ready to go, laid out, and, who knows, I might send it to the printer, we'll see. But I'm very close to doing the first book, and then the second one, the first zine, for sure, I think I'll be able to produce this winter, and I'm feeling great about that because that's really what I had been thinking about since I went to Japan. What can I do with these pictures? And
Okay.
then
No,
after the trip, now that I have a trip planned next November, so I'll get fall colors or whatever that
well,
becomes.
that's nice. Yeah.
Travel with my sister, take pictures of my sister. She'll be my model. We'll do fashion stuff. So whatever she wants to do over there. And then I'll want to do something commemorative for her because this will be the furthest she's ever been. Me too. But, her background is a little less traveled than mine. So I'm really happy to take her with me
All right. I
to
figured
do
out what I
that.
was going to ask you.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Now that I think, before I forget it again, did the language model critique confirm things that you sort of had in the back of your mind? Like, did
Yes.
it just like, you know, you were thinking about this stuff anyway, but it wasn't coming out, and when it and that's what I mean. It's kind of like a reflection of
Well,
you,
it does have
of your own thoughts.
it did have all of the prompts that I sent it before, so it knew what I was
Right. Right.
after.
Yeah.
So in a way, it was trying to please me, I suppose you could say that, because these language models tend to want to do that. But when it broke down what it saw in the images, like I didn't describe any of the images, it interpreted the images
Mhm.
that I uploaded. And that was another thing that the nuance, it caught the nuance. Like there's one sequence of a young woman, presumably a tourist. She's not Asian, she's white, and she's kind of turned. She's in Dotonbori. There's this railing that goes around this riverfront, and so this party area, this tourist area. So she's posing on this fence railing over the water and looking back at a camera or looking back at a phone. Someone's shooting her, and there's a picture of her posing, and then I got another frame a moment later where she's frowning like she's not happy. Like,
Mhm.
this is great. This is perfect. This is, these two images that go together. And the language model saw that and noted the difference in it and the significance of the difference and made up something that felt like art criticism. I don't, the content of it has some importance and it doesn't at the same time. It got a little wordy and a little uppity sometimes, fine, but I just like someone or something is telling me what the differences are that I can use as a jumping off point to do the next thing. And
Mm.
that's really what I got out of it because heads up in the clouds. What am I going to do with all? It wasn't like I wasn't in desperation. I was going to do something, but I was waiting for, or not waiting for, hoping for, I don't know, whatever you want to say, something that would help move me along in that process. And the maturity of the language model just helped me out.
Once you told me about that, I tried my version of doing that. So uploaded a bunch of pictures, like uh made contact sheets of a bunch of stuff and
Hmm.
of both Brooklyn and New York. I can't remember the prompt that I put in, but and I went through what it came back with, which was interesting because I was saying comparing stuff with Brooklyn and Nebraska. It's not a fair comparison either because Brooklyn stuff goes way far back. I mean, anything that I shot in New
Hmm.
York because I've been there for so long. I've only been in Nebraska 6 months. So some of the stuff I'm taking with the, you know, oh, that's interesting. It's okay, fine. But there was one little section, like it broke down and it goes, what looks different between Brooklyn and Nebraska? Wandering streets versus anchored events. color voice versus mostly monochromatic voice, distance to subject. It kind of noticed in some way that I seem to be getting closer up in here, which I thought was interesting. I kind of agree to that, but one of the things that got me like was like reflected the criticism that might be in the back of my head.
Mhm.
It said a useful critique target for Nebraska. It says right now, I'm just going to read you verbatim what it says. And right now, Nebraska risks becoming too coverage. Lots of interesting people, but the pictures could start to feel like they're from the same afternoon. If you want the Nebraska work to feel as unmistakably Antonio as Brooklyn, I'd look for this is more quiet frames inside chaos, more sense of place, even in black and white, at least a few frames where the photo isn't primarily carried by readable text. And, it's interesting that it found those things out. And I wouldn't say that I was thinking of those myself, but maybe kind of
Yeah.
like, I think I was realizing, yeah, I'm going to these events, and even I put them on my website as events. There's the Cass County Fair, and there's Nebraska State Fair, and there was something else, and I was like, yeah, I was like at these little pockets of things, and it's not necessarily a cohesive thing. That's fine. I'm not, I think it's a fair critique. And if anything, it's just a pay attention to, like,
Yeah.
see what's going on, pay attention to this kind of stuff because, and I would give myself a break because being here for only a short period of time means, things are going to evolve, but it was interesting to get that sort of right out of in this first 6 months, like, okay, well, pay attention to this kind of stuff. So I thought it was really a useful, task for the language model to do is to feed in the pictures. I mean, again, we could talk about like, are we giving up we're feeding in pictures into a large language model. We're using electricity, blah, 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 all that.
Mhm.
But we're not here to cover that part. We're just here to see what the use is, how to use this in some way to better our photography. And I thought that you did that was pretty cool. And so I'm imagining you're going to do it again at some point.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have been, like, kind of, and I'm gonna read you some of what it said early on, the feedback I got early on that was really inspirational, and I think that might interest our listeners too. What was I gonna say? It doesn't matter. Anyway, so, I had done the 2 buckets first. I had sent the pictures up of the Stampede work and the first batch of Japanese work. And then it says the most important takeaway. I like how imperious it gets sometimes. Like, oh, here
Yeah,
we
yeah.
go. Your Stampede work says I was there and this is what it felt like. Your Japan work says I was present but not admitted, and this is what that felt like.
Mhm.
There's a profound distinction. It suggests that your practice is shifting from documentary belonging to phenomenological observation. This is like getting into like Ralph Gibson, right?
Mhm.
Because and I'd ask, so phenomenological is like the experience of being, of creating the picture, as opposed to what the picture means to the subject or what it means to the viewer. I'm like, oh, okay, all right. So anyway, so it says how it feels to move through systems, cultures, crowds, and moments without ownership. That's a harder, more adult photographic problem. If you continue down this path, the question isn't how do you photograph Japan better? It's how do I photograph distance wherever I am? And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Like I got this. If you brought the same visual language back to Calgary, malls, transit, winter scenes, office towers, the work could become quietly devastating. It's not about place, it's about modern presence.
Hmm.
If you want, we can edit the Japanese pictures and net. Okay, so it wants to edit. And I'm like, okay, no, never mind that. How about my later pictures? And it says, this last group sharpens the argument you were already making and, more importantly, complicates it. Where in the earlier Japan set, you learn to lean towards distance and guardedness, this set introduces instability, not warmth, not belonging, but permeability. The boundary between you and the scene starts to thin. I'll break this down in relation to Stampede, blah, blah, blah. Crucial, and it says a crucial shift from distance to exposure. In the first Japan batch, you were photographing people moving through systems. So what it meant there was under the ads, there are these giant ads that are 3 stories high. Nobody
Mhm.
looks at them. Tourists look
Mm.
at them. It's amazing. This is anyway. And then so in this later batch, it says people were moving through systems. In this batch, you're photographing people caught in mid orientation. That's a big change. Look at what's repeatedly happening here. Heads turning suddenly. Expressions are incomplete. Bodies are paused at thresholds, bridges, corridors, aquariums, sidewalks. The moments feel interrupted rather than observed. It isn't about contemplative or contemplative distance anymore. It's about momentary vulnerability, the brief, unguarded, often unresolved. And I'm
Mm.
like, oh, you. So I'm like, so whether this is
Oh,
true or not,
it knows
it's
just
made
what to
up.
say to
It
you.
knows, I know. It's just like, oh, how dare you. Maybe I'll ask it out later. Maybe it'll want to go out for a beer with me. But anyway, so there's enough meat here that's sort of like, whether this is BS, like whether this is like artistic, whatever
Hmm.
garbage, doesn't matter so much. It's just that, okay, it's given me a jumping off point. And so if I'm doing this momentary vulnerability thing or this permeable, the other phrase was permeable instability, which is a scientific term that comes from fluid dynamics, where the boundary between two chemicals or two fluids and how they interact with each other. So I just like the way it just happened to answer with, and that I had the presence of mind to group the pictures in the way I did. That were chronological, clearly, but it didn't. It was just very interesting the way it kind of came up with that, and it did make me go back to like the first zine I'm working on is the distance one, right? Where I'm talking about the what was it called? The modern presence aspect. I was present but not admitted, and this is what that felt like. So I'm doing my phenomenological observation there. If to quote a Ralph Gibson quote, I'm sure he's used that expression. But so yeah, I think it's for me it's great. It's given me a way to get out of this, just having all these pictures sitting around and doing something with them
I
and
guess you have to
getting
know
them
what
out
to.
there.
You also know you have to know what to prompt it. So it's just not just feeding pictures in, but having some idea of what you want from it, and
Yeah, I mean, I can read what I put in as the prompt. Let's see.
and this was with Chat GPT, the latest version,
5.2 set on auto.
5.2.
Like I didn't give it a specific.
Mm.
It's a paid version too. Yeah, so I didn't give it a quote. I just said on the first batch, I just gave it and I said, could I have a serious portfolio review of these images? That's all I said.
But it's funny that you're saying that. I just remembered that the first time we met is that you gave me your pictures for a portfolio review.
Yeah.
You remember
Well, and it helped.
that?
Sure, whatever you said was great, and I don't remember any of it.
No, but I think you use that as criteria to say, "Oh, he's not full of crap." You said
Maybe.
something to me you said something like after you heard my, because the way it worked was, I can't remember, was it a free one that
No,
you
no, I
didn't pay
paid
me?
for it. No, I
You paid
paid for
me,
it. Yeah.
and you uploaded I don't know, maybe 10 pictures, I can't remember, and it was an idea that I had to do online portfolio reviews, and then you did it, and I remember, in fact, I could probably still find the audio that I sent back to you,
Mhm.
and I think then you
What I
said
liked
like,
what I
"Oh."
liked was you described the images that I sent, which was great because some people don't. They just give you, not that I have had portfolio reviews, but I have heard that people are disappointed because they're trying to get in your head and not tell you what they actually saw in the pictures. I'm sorry, I interrupted.
Yeah, yeah, no, I just remember you using that as a, like, "Oh, well, you describing me like, oh, he knows what he's talking about." And I was like, "Oh,
It
good,
wasn't quite
I
that
passed the
flip.
test."
No,
No,
it
I know,
wasn't
but
that.
it's
I was just, I'm introvert. I'm just looking for a way to have a conversation. Maybe. Oh, maybe there's, do you like my pictures, kind of thing. Maybe,
well,
maybe
there's
that
always
was
that
part of it.
when you do, but it's interesting to do it with a language model because it doesn't have that. I mean, it does wanna please you, and of course it says, "These pictures are great," which means nothing at all. but the actual critique feedback is also it's probably also a good way to learn how to give critique back to somebody properly.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of saying, "Well, I like this picture," or it doesn't like seeing these connections with photographs and really spending some time making a, a response that is useful and not praisey or not putting someone down or something. So I'm just aware of time. So like,
Yeah.
what's your next steps? What's coming up
So I'm about
for?
70% done this first zine. I'll send it. I know you're supposed to do a maquette, like do a cheap thing, but I'm just going to send it to the printer for a one-off just to see how the tones look. I might put a little bit of text in it. I need to get the barcode and everything, and then
What
I'm going to
printer you
put it
use?
up. I'm going to use Mixam. I'm going to give them a try this time. They've got Canadian printing presses, so
Hmm,
I think it'll be printed on the West Coast in Vancouver.
okay.
I think. I could be wrong about that, but and then print a few and sell them on my website and then maybe offer a PDF. I don't know. It depends on how it how it works. I mean, Squarespace have the way for you to do secure downloads, so
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could set up PDF to buy. Whatever, we'll go from there. And I've got the cover art mostly done already, which is very simple. And so we're going to go from there.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I don't think I have any more to say about that. I think I'm good. I haven't really talked about it. It's all been all in my head, so it's just kind of dumped
Well,
out here.
I was kind of seeing if we could follow like what we're our final like episode for the year, like what we're gonna do. I look back. I don't look back. Well, sorry, I did look back. And one of the ways I check my progress or something in the years, I look at my Lightroom catalog and see how many photographs I've taken, or at least photographs that I've uploaded to my Lightroom catalog. I mean, I've probably taken a lot more considering I don't always upload my pictures from my phone
Mhm.
to Lightroom because it's backed up in a different way.
Yeah.
I might consider some of the pictures that I will put pictures from my phone into my Lightroom catalog so I can work on them. So, I would consider those more the photography kind of things rather than like the snapshots or the recording stuff with the phone. But I was like average, like my average has been for for this year, like I'm up to like 25,000 or something like that.
Mhm.
Given the way the year went for me, I was actually kind of surprised that I had that many photographs taken with like packing up my house and all the other stuff that was going on and I mean the literal move as well and changing my whole I don't know, just my whole mindset. And I mean, I seem to maintain a consistent amount of pictures over the past few years. Actually, I look back at the year that Elizabeth died and I was still in the 25,000. I was like, how is that possible,
Mhm.
So, I mean, I did probably talk about it on the show that, I use photography just for to work through a lot of grief and stuff like that. So it did help. But one of the things thinking about this year is the complete shift from, and literally it was in the middle of the year. Like I couldn't get any more middle of the year. Like the first half of
Yeah.
the year, 'cause I moved here in the middle of June, and like I think it's almost within like the 300 half of 365 days. So
Yeah.
and
182
real
or whatever it is.
yeah. So we're at the tail end. We're recording this 2 days before the end of the month. So like the tail end of that. And, just thinking about this past weekend, what I was doing when we went out to these areas just outside the city that are very rural and very flat. And, the grass, everything's brown because it's winter and there's no wildlife really, not teeming full of wildlife, which will be great when the spring comes. And in some of these places,
Mhm.
it can be great but I was looking at those pictures that I uploaded to our group and I also put them in Facebook as well. It's like they're so different than what I was doing before. I mean, it's like almost night and day difference. And this is not
So how does that make you feel then? Like you said, you sound like you were kind of reacting, like just
it was there was I want to say a lack of pressure, and I don't mean that in the sense of like working in New York City was pressure, but there is kind of a pressure that
Mhm.
goes on. And it's not like coming from, well, maybe it is coming from the outside. I think it comes from myself as well, but that did not exist this weekend. Even going back and doing some of the pictures that I've been doing here in general, there feels this, I don't know, it just feels it doesn't feel like a pressure. And I don't know if that's a city, urban slash then suburban, rural kind of thing in general, or like what was I doing to myself in the city in terms of photography that was increasing my pressure. Now in a city like New York, it's like endless photographic possibilities, and yet I didn't really sense the endlessness of it. I felt, I don't know, maybe I was in a rut or just doing the same thing over and over and over again. Not sure. I haven't really parsed that whole bit, but coming here and like, you know, the openness of it, literally and figuratively, the fact that there's nobody, I'm not saying caring what I'm doing. I'm having a hard time articulating this, but there is like there's a release of pressure that,
You have the freedom
if
to do it, like, without, like, sense like you feel like you might be being observed or you're
yeah, maybe
competing.
that.
What I
Yeah,
felt,
there was
my
always
visit
like
to
a,
New York was you're feeling
yeah.
you were, like, competing with all the great street photographers of New York when you were
Yeah, I
there.
mean, there is that sense of competition. Yes, you're talking about like the history, like you're in New
Mhm.
York and you're following in the footsteps of a bazillion people. So every time I photograph a building, I'm thinking, well, you know, Bernice Abbott did this, and who else did this kind of thing? Or if I'm photographing with a wide angle on Fifth Avenue, it's like Joel Meyerowitz did this, and Gary Winogrand did this, and it's like yes, there's all that, and it didn't exist this weekend for me here at
Mm.
all. I was like, I don't know, am I the first one? I probably not, but this is kind of in my brain. Like, geez, I'm wondering if I'm the first one to fly a drone over this lake and take a picture like this, you know?
Mm.
And it may not be an interesting picture. I was like, well, but I liked it, you know? Just photographing this, this lake, this man-made lake or reservoir or something like that, and I was using the drone because like, wow, that's a new point of view. It's pointing straight down and stuff. And I actually tend to like aerial photography when it's done well,
Yeah.
especially when you start finding patterns you know, and even just to be able to see things like, oh, look, there's all these, you know, ruts in the, were those from, covered wagons and stuff like that. And, there's discovery,
Mhm.
and there is no pressure. Like I was saying before, though, I mean, everybody and their brother has a drone and they're flying it and taking pictures. Like, what could I possibly do that's new?
Right.
But maybe it was new. It's certainly new to me. So anyway, there was a by not having a pressure from feeling like I have to walk or being on someone else's shoulders, it feels like I have more opportunity to be creative in a way that I haven't been in since, I want to say, since school, right?
Mhm.
Like, and school had its own pressures. In high school, at college, you had the assignments and all this stuff. There was pressures, but there was still kind of like an experimentalness there, which I didn't take full advantage of. But I feel like here I could take advantage of that in some way. So that's kind of what this year is sort of feeling like to me. I mean, other than the teaching and all the other stuff that we've talked about endlessly, I think that's kind of the more important stuff for me.
Mhm.
Is that stop really caring. And again, this could be coming from being, getting older. When you were just talking about this before, it's like, I don't really care about what people think about my work.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not trying to make accolades. I do like sharing them still. I put stuff on Facebook in a Nebraska photographers group, which is kind of fun because it's nice to show people who, I think there's a lot of people who live here who post in that group. It's nice to be like say an outsider coming in, looking and showing how I see
Yeah,
this
and how
place.
you can photograph and frame things that people walk by every day and give it a fresh
Yeah,
perspective.
yeah.
Yeah.
So uh, I'm enjoying that. I'm looking forward to doing more of that. And I think, as I start to build up a history here, because right now I don't. I am really coming in and sort of poking at different things that are interesting to me. I mean, one of the things that I did, this year was photographing the flag line of the Huskers color guard flag line. Now that was commercial work, and I was following in the footsteps of other photographers who did it. We had a lot of help, but I was like, that was sort of way out of my
Mhm,
bailiwick in some way. I mean,
mhm.
I'm a photographer, so I could do it, but that was, that I think had an effect on me as well in some way. I haven't quite fully incorporated the effect yet because I've only done that one job.
Yeah, but
So,
it's your your first pro gig in Nebraska. Pretty cool.
well, yeah, and the first pro gig in a while, actually, considering. I was doing more video stuff in New York, or less photography gigs. So, what else? I don't know. Just my mind is open to a little bit more here, which I thought was really interesting. Like, why did it take a move? And I often thought that maybe you don't really have to move locations to sort of get a new start on life. It's just everything's in front of you. But there is something to be said for like all of a sudden you're in a different place and start seeing things that I don't see all the time. Thinking about like firing up my 4x5 camera, which, if it wasn't freezing out now, I would probably be doing it. And then when the weather gets better, I can't wait to take that out and start firing some either 4x5 film through it or Instax, or even thinking about setting it up for doing portraits or whatever. I wouldn't really have thought of that stuff in the city. It's just there wasn't a place for that. So there is a place for that now. And I don't know. I don't know. There's still the gear acquisition syndrome going on a little bit, considering that, I mean, I bought the drone thinking that, like, I wanna get it just in case they are banned, and I actually want to start to if I can get work that requires use of a drone, I would love to know how to use it? So there's some practical parts of that, and even the teaching part, it would be great if I could teach people how to use a drone or
Mhm.
whatever, but to think about, having to get some kind of work and income and life started here, that would be nice, not just, playing around with pens all the time. You know, I did buy some flash units because I was like, "Okay, again, I'm sort of copycatting you in a bunch of ways."
It's okay to
But
get influences from wherever. It doesn't.
yeah, no, but, like, the idea of, like, "Oh, yeah, I can go and do, portraits and headshots with flash, and all these things work so much easier these days, and the whole kit would be something I could stick in a little bag someplace and just, walk around and, go to someone's place and do a headshot or do a portrait or something like that. That kind of excites me. The first 6 months here is still getting my sea legs in a way, you know? I still have a little bit of a hard time with orientation here, even though everything is like blocks and squares and like that, just still knowing like where to go. But,
All right.
you know, I'm getting used to that a little bit, making friends here. I'm in a game group now. So, which is great because it's nice to be doing things that's not related to photography. That's just nice to have an outside group of people who would go and meet once a week and play whatever game we've got. So, but I did buy, like, during the Christmas time rush where everybody's buying stuff. I went to this place called Hobby Lobby, and I started seeing like stuff that I could use for making prints with, like, or I was like, I wonder if I should make like a watermark or something like that to put on the back of a out of a print. And then I was finding some supplies for like putting prints into plastic sleeves. And I bought a whole bunch of small, I thought it'd be really cool to start making really small prints,
Mm.
like teeny tiny baseball card size prints. And the printer I have is pretty good. And I was like, I got to start using that. So I don't know. There's a bit of, maybe it's also because I don't have a steady job right now. So I have this time that I can sort of spend thinking about this stuff.
Mhm.
And the truth of the matter is that I don't think I'm moving fast enough. So, not that I need to be rushing, but I think the honeymoon is taking a little bit of time here, and just in terms of me, like, well, I got some time. I don't really have to work at the moment, but I will have to work soon, and I'm taking advantage of that. But maybe I just need to give myself a break because I've had a rough it's been a rough 5 years, right? Starting in 2020 and coming to a head in 2022. And I think I'm allowed to have that, you know, sense of taking it, not a break, but just I had a rough 5 years.
Mhm.
Let's just say that. But I don't know. I don't know. And I don't make resolutions for the year. It's
Yeah, me
to me
neither.
not a thing. I got things I want to do, but those things are a list that, you know, I've had for a while. So I would like to get some of the stuff back. I want to, you know, I want to redo our zine that we did only in format. I mean, I loved what we did. I like the layout. I like the pictures that are in there. I know you know, we sort of I got on your case, like, let's get it done. And then we did it, but then, and I printed one and I just haven't gotten around to doing it. But I feel like I've got the energy to maybe find a different way to print it or different place to print it and stuff like that. So, yeah, things like that. I don't know if that's like, I feel like I might be going off the rails here a little bit. I
No,
don't know.
it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
We all had, I mean, it was big, creatively for you in a life way with a new place and a new person. And like, there's a lot going on.
Yeah. And what would I want photographer to feel like? I'm looking at a question that was written in our notes, and it's like, what would I like photography to feel like next year? And that is a good question. Maybe I should ask you that too. So, why don't I ask you first, and then because I've been talking for so long, what would you like photography to feel like next year? And that's an interesting.
Well,
That's a weird question too.
it would
Oh,
want to
here's two
feel
questions. Let's do
okay.
this. How about
Okay.
that? I'm gonna do my thing. So, what would you want photography to feel like next year, and what are you willing to leave behind?
And you're still asking me?
I'm do you want me
All
to go
right.
first? I
What do I
don't
want
know.
it to feel
Well, answer
like?
one of those questions.
Well, I mean, in my last little rant or whatever monologue talking about this chat GPT stuff, this feedback, I I want it to be a more how do I want to put this? More of an artistic bent where I'm thinking about what more than how.
Mhm,
And I think this little epiphany with the computers here has really helped me kind of narrow that down more. What it means when I actually when I actually go out and shoot or whatever. I mean, the speed skating pictures, right? I was doing these arty slow motion or whatever,
mhm,
drag shutter stuff. Like I wanted to have a more artistic spin on it. That's how I'd like it to feel. What I'm leaving behind, I told you before the recording started that a camera that I had asked to be brought in that I had been talking about, it came in and I just said, let it go. Like, I don't, you can sell it to somebody else. I'm giving up the material, the gear acquisition syndrome, I think. At
mm,
least in terms of camera bodies, I did play around with another zoom, telephoto zoom, but it's going to be at least a year and a half before I make a decision on that.
mhm,
But yeah, I think what what I'm going to leave behind is the materialism of it. Even with photo books, I've slowed down quite a bit.
mm,
Um,
mhm,
so that's I think those are pretty fair answers. How about you?
yeah.
What do you want it to feel like? It's
What do I
you
want
can
it to feel
interpret that
like?
however the hell you want it.
Yeah, I know, that's interesting. Oops, sorry. Want it to well, I think I said this in my latest Substack article. I think this sort of sums it up, where and if for people that are listening to, if you wanna go read it, I'll give you the Substack address at the end of the show, but I want it to feel like home. And
Ah,
what does home mean? I still have to define that. Home is a physical place, home is a mental, you know, state of mind. Home can mean a million things. But what I think of home is safety, is comfortable, is like it's always gonna be there. And it's always someplace I can return to. And photography needs to feel like that too for me. And so in the Substack article, I think what I mentioned was that I had taken a photograph. I photographed my cats all the time. Everybody knows that. One of the cats is Opie, and I love photographing him because he photographs so differently in all these
You get a new
different
lens. What's
situations.
the first photograph, right? That's
Yeah,
Opie.
it's always Opie. But I took a picture of him in on the stairway in the house, and he was backlit through the sun was coming through the window, and so his edge light was there, and there was all these motes of dust in the air, just like as a house has, just
Mhm.
just little motes flying. And I just left it, and I looked at that picture, and what I thought about was not only is the picture of him looking comfortable, but I look at him as a creature, as a when he is comfortable, when an animal like him, and he still has some issues here with other cats, but like he is relaxed into this place. He goes and he sits on the couch, he looks out at the cat TV, at the birds, and I sort of look at him like the canary in the the mine shaft. Like if he's panicky, would I be panicky? And he's settled right in. And I saw that in that picture for some reason. And I noticed that like like if I could photograph that feeling somehow of home, like, or if I can get that, like I belong here, then I've made the transition. I know I'm only here 6 months, so I think I might be asking a lot of myself, but I think that's the direction I'm going in, because the reality is I'm here now, and this is my home. And every time I hear about my apartment in Brooklyn, and we were there in September, and I saw it and it's empty, and brought up a lot of feelings as well, because it was literally empty, and it was very strange to like have had a life there and then it's gone. My life is here now. So how do I photograph that? How do I show that in pictures, whether it's my own work, whether it's photographing for somebody else? I don't know. But that's how I want it to feel. I want it, I'm always carrying my camera, and I feel like I'm naturally a photographer. I always say it's in my DNA and this is what I do, but I want to
Mhm.
really feel that. Like I don't want to just say it. I want that to be,
Mhm.
part of my being. And it's gonna be my being here. The roots are now beginning to settle. What am I willing to leave behind? I would also have to echo like, I've got more than enough stuff to settle on for a year. I've got computers, I got cameras, I got drones, and like I bought all this stuff in a way thinking like, well, if I'm gonna start a business as a photographer here, I want to have all that stuff ready. And like like it's gonna be tricky to like like I don't need that. I know another lens comes out, but like I realize I got so many lenses. I got, I don't have enough pens though, so I'm not saying I won't buy pens.
If I remember correctly, you have like a thermidor that has lenses lined up like bottles of fine wine.
Yeah, no,
So,
I got this thing to keep. Oh, it's interesting because I mainly got it for my apartment in New York, because my office there was the temperature varied so much.
mhm.
I couldn't regulate it, and I thought, "Oh, this is, if I'm gonna have a place to store my lenses, like instead of a shelf I might as well have a place where at least the humidity is taken care of and stuff like that." So
Mhm.
yes, I got these wine cellar kind of things that keep the relative humidity pretty low, which is a good thing, I think. But anyway, yes, I think the gear acquisition syndrome is going to have to move towards like maybe gear giveaway syndrome. I mean, one of the things I have a problem with is like when I buy a new camera, I don't often get rid of my old cameras. And I think it's just like, do I want to get rid of my old cameras? I've got bags of cameras downstairs. I got old Nikons and stuff. And I was
Mhm.
like, why are they just sitting there? I should just call up MPB. And even if I get like $50 or something like that for it,
Yeah.
what the hell? It would get rid of some of the stuff. So maybe I'll go the opposite direction. I know it's almost sounding like resolution. I don't want it to sound like resolution, but I think I'm willing to leave behind all that stuff. And I think the other thing I do want to get more in touch with is the art part of what I do as well. Instead of just making pictures, like I want to make something that has meaning, you know, whether it's a portrait series that I thought I would do or something like that. I want something with a little more meaning than just street photography, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that is yet. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure. So we'll
Me
see.
neither.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm willing to look for it though, And
Yeah.
someone's going to say on the other end of this listening to us like, "Well, you're in the middle of Nebraska. What is there?" I'm walking around here like, and I'm like, this place is just I want to say a treasure trove, but it's just incredible. There's so much to do here photographically. there's just so much to see and so much to do and so many opportunities that for some reason I didn't think I had, like in New York, and
Yeah,
I
it's
seem to have
fresh
found them
eyes,
here.
man. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, fresh eyes. There's something to be said for that. Yeah, So and so yeah, that's. I don't know if it's a good enough answer. I think your answers are
No, I
better,
think
but
it's great. No, I think yours was more personal. Mine was like arty farty. So
what's wrong with Artie Farty?
and there's nothing wrong with arty farty. It's
Nothing.
just where I'm at right now. I
Mm.
don't have a deep personal philosophical bent on things that you have, but
Well, to be
it's all
fair,
good.
I've had a lot of life adjustments I've had to compress into a short period of time. So you're able to be a little bit more stable in some way, you know. I would think so.
I okay.
If I say so.
I'll take it if you say so. Exactly.
All
So
right.
different
Well,
kinds of stability.
different kinds of stability. I don't know how to end a year show. We're up to 245, so 5 more episodes we'll reach 250, which
Hmm.
is I guess another little milestone in some way. So that'll be fun when we'll hit that in what? March sometime.
Somewhere
So
in there.
middle of
Yeah.
March. Yeah, when the weather's getting hopefully better and there's more sunlight and stuff. So, oh yeah,
When the
one
season goes from winter to construction.
yeah. I'm looking
Sorry.
forward to sorry, I'm looking forward to scoping stuff out and being out. I don't want to be outside in freezing weather, like 9 degrees and stuff like that. No. That's time for me to look at the Lightroom catalog. But what I did last thing I did was I did pre-order one of those telescopes, those smart telescopes.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like what
So,
Mac has, like our friend Mac has one of those.
yes, something like that. I can't
Okay.
remember the brand and the name of it, but it was like a reasonable price, and I ordered it, and I thought, you know, given that there's some pretty decent sky out here, maybe not the darkest, but like, it's really like 15-minute drive in the
Hmm.
middle of a field someplace, and you can see like one thing Nebraska got a lot of sky,
Hmm.
and reasonably dark, So I thought it'd be interesting to give that a shot. I could probably just do it also for my backyard as well, or front yard, I should say. So I might give that a roll because that is something, even though it's like, I don't know what it would do photographically, but personally, be like, I
Mm.
made a picture of a nebula. I mean, I know how Mac felt about it, and his pictures were
Yeah,
fantastic,
yeah.
and yes, it's like, well, everybody else has made the same pictures, but you haven't made them yet.
You
So
have
what is it like
exactly that.
to,
I always say that.
yeah,
Like you want to take a picture of that building, like a million people, it doesn't matter. That's your
yeah,
picture, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I want to do that. So it'll be interesting to come back and see, like, maybe we'll do a 6-month check-in, and for me, it'll
Okay.
have been a year here, and see what's going on. And maybe we've got to put another zine together too. I mean,
Okay.
we've got the one together. All I have to do is we have to get that printed, but it'd be kind of cool to mix and match our stuff again in some way. Have that collaboration. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So that's about it. I think
Yeah,
we're good
I
for the
agree.
year. I think we've covered it. Yeah. It's I'm grateful for another year with you. Thank you.
Me too. It's been fun. It's keeping my head in the game, and my
Yeah.
head has been in that game for a long time, and it's nice to come to the well again and talk about it, and it's good. It's fulfilling, and I'm glad I have this artistic energy in my character and in my life, and I have friends, like-minded friends, who also do it.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful in that way too. So
Yeah. I'm grateful for all the listeners too. All the people who are sticking with us for so long. Thanks. Thank you so much. It's an honor in some way to be, so many people listen to us, and want to say, oh, it's like hanging out with you guys in a coffee shop or a bar or something like that and talking photography, because that's how I've always wanted the show to be like, maybe not always, but I like how it evolved into that, so it's great. So
and our
go
readers
ahead.
on Substack as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And watching that community grow has been great.
Yeah.
So that's
it's a great way to dive into what people are thinking. Also, nice to hear that. So, all right. That being said, where are we finding you this year or next year in the world of the worlds?
Well, on Vero X/Twitter and Blue Sky, you can find me at W Rosin Photo. Instagram, I'm at Ward Rosin Fine Art, and that's where you're going to see the lion's share of my stuff. I don't really post much to those other platforms. I still get the odd fine print sale, and most of my feedback comes through Instagram. So I know a lot of people don't like it, but I'm finding it still kind of works for me. On Facebook, I'm at Ward Rosin Photo, and my website is rosin.ca. Maybe in a few weeks, you'll see a buy link for a zine, a Japanese zine, which I'm very excited now to create and make it available to people who are interested. Mr. Antonio, where can we find you out there?
So yeah, I'm on Blue Sky at AM Rosario. Instagram is at AM Rosario Photo. My website, which I love so much now these days, is amrosario.com. I do spend a lot of fair time on Facebook. I'm enjoying posting pictures on my page there. So it's facebook.com/Rosario Photo. As Ward was mentioning, our Substack, and I was mentioning that earlier before, please subscribe to us. You want to help us out? Subscribe to our Substack, because that's a great community. So our address there is streetshots.substack.com. And we put out a little article every few weeks, something like that. We don't really bombard your stuff. And if you want to help support the show, you can always buy us a coffee by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Antonio Rosario. And again, just grateful for having this opportunity to bend people's ears about photography for an hour or two. It's a lot of fun to do that. And I anticipate more shows this year. We're not going anywhere. We don't even have seasons. We haven't done seasons, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense. So
whatever works. I like the episode numbers because we're making meals out of the numbers themselves, for one thing. And then we've got these, we hit 200, and now we're closing in on 250. So.
Yeah. Wow. 250. That's crazy. All right. So look, have a good New Year's, Ward. And
you too, my friend.
Yeah. And for everybody else, enjoy your New Year's, and see you on the other side of January.